Who's to say?
Who's to say? Hey, but who's going to do the intro? You or me?
Go for it. I think, did I do last one?
Well, we didn't really do one the
Oh,
last time
okay.
because
Well,
we were farting around.
we'll go for it, dude.
You ready? Are
Yeah,
you on?
wait. Real name,
Well,
right, Adam?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, cool. All you.
And your Dirty Skittles and G-Rex.
Yup.
you got it. Okay, you ready?
Yep. Ready?
Three,
Three,
two,
two, one.
one. Welcome back to another episode of Shit That Goes On in Our Heads. Today we have an amazing guest. His name is Adam. Welcome, Adam.
Adam.
Hello, thank you. Thanks for having me.
So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I have always dabbled in the arts since I was a child. I was into art as a kid, like drawing, and wanted to be a comic artist. Then for years, I switched over to music and writing music and lyrics. And I more recently have come back around to the comics outlet. So that's how I'm expressing myself these days.
What kind of stories do you tell in your comics?
Well, I have only released one so far. I'm working on a sequel right now, but my first one, it's called Shadows, and it is about basically the name says it all. It's like a very dark look on the world and just kind of how things are not equal.
Oh. Is there like so here's where my question's coming from. All I know of comics is superheroes. Is there a superhero? Who's the main character?
So it is actually a group of superheroes, but it
Nice.
takes place in a post-superhero future after superheroes have been um, kind of imprisoned and enslaved, really. And it's a group of rebels who they have superpowers, but they're not superheroes per se, and they're just trying to, uh, level things.
Nice. Nice. You like that, G-Rex?
I love that.
I
Yeah.
can I can picture you. Did you read comics growing up?
Oh yeah, I did all the time.
Yeah.
Because back in the day, they'd be like, you know, teeny tiny, right? But we always used to read the comics and then look towards the back, and they had like the free ad for like the sea monkeys. And
I remember that.
remember that? Like they
Yeah,
had sea monkeys and like magic tricks and shit like that, right?
odd
And
things. Yeah,
yeah, go ahead and laugh at me. I am showing my age, whatever.
it's true. It's,
But yeah, I love comics. Like it's a way to escape,
it
right?
is for sure.
My brother was huge into them, and I remember trying to get into them, but he was very protective of his comics, and they all had
Hmm.
like their own little like sleeves and like the special box and all this shit, and I was just like, I couldn't, yeah. I never really got my own comics, I guess.
He was an investor. He was investing in the price bump in the future.
And I wish I could remember because I don't remember them being like Batman or Spider-Man. Like it was something else. And like I know he's gonna hear this and be like, "How could you forget? It was blah 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 blah." Like I don't know, dude. I don't know.
Funny.
When did you start doing that?
So the Shadows graphic novel that I released in 2022 was actually based on characters I created in the early to mid 90s when I was in
Wow.
elementary school. Yeah. And so it was something that I was like pretty disillusioned. I was living in New York for a little bit and I was pretty disillusioned, feeling very like separate from anything and kind of like revisiting some old stuff that I did. And I was like, and I wasn't really feeling the music I was writing anymore. And I was feeling like, an imposter almost like I wasn't an authentic writer anymore. And I was like, I hate this. And so I just kind of went back to my roots, which was, I wrote some stories and made and drew these characters. And like I said, originally wanted to be a comic artist. I didn't keep up with that, so I'm no longer a comic artist. I'm just the writer. But I work with some great people who make really cool pictures. But these characters, yeah, I created when I was like between 8 and 12 years old, mostly.
Wow. And was it like an escape for you?
Oh, for sure, yeah. I mean, I in elementary and middle school, I was getting very, very bullied, and this was something that it was kind of helping me just that, deal with just existing out in public kind of thing,
Yeah.
you know. Um, so yeah, it was all art. I feel like for me at least, and I'm sure for a lot of people, is kind of therapeutic.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I loved reading. In like middle school, high school, I would just go and read all kinds of stuff because it was like an escape. I wasn't very good
Absolutely,
at telling my own stories, but I will dive into somebody else's.
that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, G-Rex? Did you read books?
Oh, I read books. I read a lot of books. I love to read. And, I also played sports and just, trying to escape what was really going on, right? Like, there was a lot going on, like during my childhood. And, it was just a way for me to get away. Like, I didn't have to, if I was reading, I was in somebody else's world and not my own world. And so I didn't have to deal with the outside world.
Absolutely.
So you still find it therapeutic now as an adult to
I do. I do. So the kind of main hidden character of the book I recently released is something I created that was like the darkest recesses of my mind that I just kind of came up with this guy Alexander, and he really represents um, just despair and um, a feeling of like helplessness.
Yeah.
So
I have a weird question. After you've created a piece of art, right? Is it like a release for you, or do you go back and read it again?
I usually go back to it eventually, never at first. I kind of like let it actually, usually when I finish something, because most of my projects, it seems, have taken anywhere between 3 and 6 years to do. So, like, by the time I'm done with them, I'm like, I don't want to look at this again. I don't want to hear this again. Yeah, so it takes me a little while to get back to them, but then I actually appreciate it because I'm like further separated from it. You
Mm.
know, it's always hard to release something because you never feel like you're finished. So you're
Oh,
like, oh, I could do this or tweak this, right? But like, you just have to just let it go.
yeah. That's crazy. I'm like
Yeah.
thinking this through, and I'm like, if you're sharing, because you just said like you went back into like the darkest recesses of your mind, right, to like create this character. Eventually, you'll release it out,
hmm
but how vulnerable is that? Like, do you feel vulnerable that other people will consume that part of your brain?
Um, Definitely. And actually, I feel probably more so that way about the lyrics I used to write because it was
Mm.
very like a heart on my sleeve type thing where like I was the singer too. So I would be
Uh,
singing. Yeah, I would be singing these things that I wrote, and they're really personal things. And, it was great when people would connect with them, but it was horrible if someone was like rolling their eyes and going to get their next beer while I was playing playing my heart out.
oh no, that's a nightmare
Leave
fuel.
they leave the venue. They're like, this sucks. It's like, wait.
Oh no. Yeah, no, I would hate that. I'd be like, don't look at me. Why is everybody staring at me up here
hmm
being vulnerable?
They said Kurt Cobain always like closed his eyes and like looked at the wall and stuff when he was, playing. And I understand that. You're like, I mean, you write these things and you're in the moment when you're writing them, and they feel very heavy and very real, and you're very connected to these things. And then you do put them out eventually, sometimes as art,
Mhm.
for the masses to consume, and people will connect with it, but some people won't. Some people will think it's stupid, and that's sometimes what hurts. But you have to kind of build up some sort of a,
Yeah.
a toughness to that because people will criticize no matter what. So
Yeah, but it's like a piece of you, so I get it, right?
it's a
Like,
piece, yeah,
yeah, that's
absolutely.
crazy. Um, so what has been, I guess, your biggest learning experience from from your life, like creating art based off of it, or anything that you've had to go through that you've learned from?
Um, no life path is set in stone because kind of, I guess, going back a little bit to my switch from drawing to music, I got a guitar when I was like 14 or 15 years old and decided I was really into music, like listening to it and wanted to play it myself because everything. I'm the kind of person like if I see something or hear something, I want to do it myself. I'm like, I can do
Mm.
that. And I try to do it myself and replicate it. So at that point, I was like, I can make music, I can write something. So I wanted to, and I was already doing poetry. So I'm like, I can just kind of transfer this to lyrics. And um, so that's kind of what happened. And I thought, like, I dropped out of college. I was in college at the time. I dropped out of college and thought that I was going to be on this life path of being like this, you know, professional musician for the rest of my life. Now, if I meet somebody today, uh, a new person, they would never know that I had anything to do with music. Although I was in a band or bands, several bands for like the span of like 20 years, 15 to 20 years, no one would ever know that. So it's like, it's weird. So I think the biggest thing I've learned is like, you know, no matter how into something you are, you know, it's good to have a backup. It's good to, you know, and it's never set in stone. It might change. So
Yeah. Yeah. I when I heard of you, for those that are listening, my husband knows you, and I remember meeting you and your sister and him telling me at the time, like, oh yeah, he's in all these bands and he plays this music. And so my first impression, I think when I saw you was like, oh, there's this music guy. And then to find out later where we are today, right? Like writing and making comics. And I'm like, oh shit, like that's awesome, right? Like you have more than one uh avenue. Like you multifaceted, which is pretty cool.
I try to be. I just get like really obsessed with things and
Do
then
you
like
really?
just dive into them. So at that point it was music and it's always been writing. I feel like as I'm looking back at my life, not that I'm like a senior citizen or anything, but like as I look back, as I look back at what I've done so far, um, you know, it's always been revolved around writing, storytelling of some sort. So,
Yeah.
And do you think your storytelling helps you deal with like your mental health
oh,
and
100%.
and can give and helps you with your like self love and self care and and just telling your story.
Mm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And like I said, that guy, Alexander, the kind of main character of the Shadows graphic novel, he is kind of in many ways me. You know, things that I've gone through, things that I've felt. And it's that his story arc in that book is really one of um, exploring mental health and being okay with who you are, kind of thing, and accepting yourself and not demonizing yourself or hating yourself or listening to what other people are saying about you and actually having confidence in who you are.
Wow,
Man.
that's powerful. That's that, and I think there's so many people out there that need to like, read graphic novels like that or even books because that self talk we have in the back of our head,
Yeah.
we're just mean to ourselves.
I'm my own worst enemy. I say the meanest shit. I say worse stuff to me than anyone ever could or has, you know, like so I try to work on that. You know, that's the thing is to not let yourself freely bully yourself.
Yeah. We were just talking to somebody the other day who said that they realized they had a lot of negative self-talk, and what they were doing was for every, what did she say, for every bad thing she said about herself, she had to say, was it five
Five,
good
yeah,
things?
five
And
good
I was
things.
like, oh my God, like that would take me all day like, to go through that list. I'm like, that's telling though. Like I agree. I think we're all our own worst enemy, and
Yeah,
our expectations for ourselves are so high that,
I agree.
yeah. And I don't know where it comes from. Doesn't really make sense, right? Like you can do whatever you want. But
I mean, I think that you want the best for yourself as a person and you kind of become your own cheerleader, but also your own, like, I guess, I don't know, coach. And I don't know, I wasn't super into sports, but I always feel like coaches are pretty hard on you.
yeah.
You know, but you kind of like, I'm going to try to make it the best for yourself, but in that process, you could definitely you hurt yourself,
Yeah.
because you want the best, but you're so focused on improving that sometimes you're not really monitoring how you're talking to yourself or trying to improve that.
Yeah.
Counterproductive.
So much truth to that.
Do you ever take a look back and like, or maybe throughout the process of writing a song or creating a character, do you ever discover something new about yourself or like tap into something that you hadn't quite figured out yet?
Um, Not really. I mean, I feel like I've always personally been very self-aware.
Mm.
But when I do that, one of those things, I definitely kind of swim in that feeling or thought for a little while and kind of soak it in. Um, and maybe not in a good way, sometimes, but truly, I mean, even if I do like already know that certain thing about myself or am aware, it may, shed light on something to help me improve that or change it, so yeah, that could
Very
possibly
cool.
happen.
Very cool.
Yeah, I could see me like doing that. Like you said, Adam, we are our own worst enemies. We are
Yes.
so mean to ourselves. We say shit to ourselves that nobody else would ever say. They might be thinking it, but they'd never say it to our face, right? In the
Right.
meantime, we're like talking to ourselves like, "You're a dumb asshole," and like,
Damn.
yeah, like I've really been working on like not doing that, right? Like that negative self-talk
It's
because
great.
it makes you feel like shit.
Yeah,
The world's already kind of making you feel shitty. You don't need to make yourself feel shitty.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The shit that goes on in our heads about ourselves, right?
Dude, seriously, I'm like, I'm happy nobody can hear what I say to myself. Here's what I've learned about myself. I hate failing, but it's inevitable, right? Like no one's perfect, especially if you're doing something you've never done before. Your chances of failure are high. That shit will eat at me for days. But I was
Right.
just thinking, like, I wish I could have turned that into some form of art. Like, I'm pretty sure I have like notebooks upstairs of like really bad poetry that, like, in the moment I was like, this is deep. And if I was to read it now, I'd be like, oh, Jesus. But yeah, like, how do you, besides writing and creating characters, is that your only outlet, or is there other things that you do to help, I guess, with those types of situations?
Um, well, I do still struggle like a lot with anxiety and sometimes bouts of depression and stuff. So I do try to um go to counseling as often as I can. It's not like always, but I
Yeah.
try to, I go through periods of time where I'm more so in counseling than not. But I advocate for that because I think that, we could all use someone to talk to who doesn't know us or,
Mm-hmm.
could kind of, objectively look at things and kind of maybe give us a different perspective. So I try to do that. And just, speaking of music or art in general, like you are what you consume.
Mm-hmm.
And I love stuff like, metal and like heavier, darker music and stuff. But I got to tell you, like, listening to that a lot of times doesn't help the situation. Like, changing what you listen to or what you're watching or what you're reading or, that can totally change your outlook on things. So,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can totally agree. Like if I'm in a dark place, I won't listen to dark music. I'll try and listen to like, something peppy, something to get my heart racing,
yeah.
or I'll go listen to a funny podcast,
Mhm.
something to make me laugh because the healer for me is laughter, right? If
Mhm.
I'm laughing, I'm feeling a lot better because now my endorphins are raised a little bit. I can have a clearer head, or I'll try and go to the gym. Haven't been in a while, but I need to go back. But like those are the things that I do, and I'm a huge advocate for therapy. Like,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd be where I am today without therapy.
It's
Yeah.
super helpful.
I
Yeah.
think once I started therapy and started kind of healing parts of myself, I noticed that it was what I was consuming, right? Like I could no longer watch shows that I had been watching or binge watching on Netflix. Like I was like, ugh, like I don't want the drama. I don't want to hear about somebody's like I couldn't watch that anymore. Um, and the music, same. Music will change my mood, but I think I've always used it that way. So if I'm tired, I'll put something upbeat, or if I'm like angry or I need to get it out, I'll put something heavier, right? Like, so I've always kind of used it. That's like my biggest thing is music for mood, and my candles. my wood my woodwick candles that, anything that I know I love, I'll put it on if I'm feeling shitty, because it'll
Yeah.
help. It'll help change the mood for me.
So does
Yeah.
that mean like when I see you in a couple of weeks, you're going to have like all your candles out?
Dude, I don't think you realize my candle obsession. I'll show you when you get here. I love a good candle.
I'm a little scared for that. Can we not maybe have them at the table when we do like the live version?
Right. Yeah, I don't want to burn anybody.
We don't want to.
Yeah, I saw you guys are doing a live version. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, we were mindful of like the listeners we have that are experience holiday depression. And I know we have people out there that are just alone during the holidays. So having the live show where they can come and chill and sit with us is kind of the vibe we're going for.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I'm excited for it. We're flying down from New York, and I'm gonna spend some time with my aunt and uncle and see all my peeps in the Atlanta area and record and have a good time. But like, this podcast like has been so healing to so many people, right? And just hearing from our different listeners, and that therapy is not bad. We need to like remove the stigma about going to therapy, because it's actually a good thing.
It is. It's very helpful. I mean, I think every person on earth could use it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's maybe not so affordable, and that's sometimes why I have to quit. It can get kind of pricey, take breaks and stuff. But I mean, if you can swing it, if you can figure it out, like, it's absolutely a great tool. And like G-Rex said, also, comedy. Like, I love, watching stand-up comedy and all sorts of, I think it's really fun. It's really good to laugh. I read something years ago, that like for mental health and trying to change maybe your sadness. If you make yourself smile, if you like fake it, you can, like, it eventually reconnects your synapses to where it's easier to smile or easier to be happy, and you can kind of fake it by doing these kind of exercises. And that's always kind of stuck with me. Because inside I'll think about that. If I get really down about things, I'll try to focus in on that and see if I can make it starts with little things, right? Like, because sometimes, like, when you're really upset, or really sad, it's really hard to like listen to a fun pop song, or it's like, I don't want to hear that shit, but I mean,
get out of here, Taylor Swift. No, I'm just kidding.
Right. I had her in my mind.
Yeah, me too.
I'm a Swiftie, by the way.
I am too. Well, sort of.
So am I.
I'm not like deep into the Swiftiness. Like, some people are like hardcore. Like, she wore purple nail polish on this. I'm like, dude, I don't know. Music.
Yeah, I'm into her too, but I'm not going to spend $400 to go see her either. So.
Right. Also, I'll catch it on Netflix.
Yeah. In the comfort of your own home.
That's why we have Apple Music and Spotify, right? So we can go and listen to her, and we can just imagine in our head we're at the concert. So, yeah, I think that like music and like just doing artsy things too help. So one way I get out of my head is I color, right? I love to color. I have my iPad. I have a couple of coloring apps. I just kind of like can zone in on that. Not creative per se, unless you count the podcast, but
that's creative.
It puts me in a different mindset, and I think that just with you, Adam, and doing your graphic art and your music, it puts you in a different mindset, right? And I think getting your emotions out and kind of sharing that with the world is important too.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, I think to kind of expand on what you're saying is like getting back to what makes you happy, no matter what it is. Just do something for yourself. Do something that makes you happy or more tranquil, or just like kind of like pulls you out of that current funk. Like, even another great thing is just like getting out of like society and like enjoying nature, just enjoying like the simplicity and beauty of nature really helps clear someone's mind.
Yeah, we have so many people say that, and I never do that, but I'm like, there's got to be truth to this because, like,
Absolutely.
yeah, like I'm like, I gotta get outside more. Like, really,
there really is. I mean, we live on 8 acres, so I can go right outside my back door and I can walk right into our forest.
That's awesome.
Just being around that nature, like smelling the smells, or like in the summertime, I'll go out in my bare feet, and I can ground my feet into the dirt. I'm not going to do that in the winter because I'm going to get frostbite. But
what do you think it is
but
about just being outside though that's so calming?
It's very zen.
yeah, super zen, and like smell a flower, or like I have a nice big herb garden outside, so I'll go up and smell the rosemary and smell the mint, smell the basil, or walk out like 5 feet into my forest, and there's all these big trees, and you can see where the deer made their path, and like you get outside of where you currently are in your head, because it opens up a new world for you.
Yeah, it's true. You get so stuck in your own headspace, and then you go out to nature and you're like, wow, all these things I'm concerned about and that are like weighing me down are really meaningless, or not meaningless, but not so heavy in the grand scheme of like the universe, and like just seeing like nature in the world. And it's like, this is really like beautiful, beautiful chaos. It's just like, it's random, but it's like beautiful. And you just kind of, I don't know, it just helps with perspective.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah,
I'm gonna try it. That's what I'm
I
learning.
mean, why don't you walk out to your backyard? You have deer back there.
Spider webs everywhere, and there's spiders everywhere. They're
Okay,
huge.
so
like, I'm not shitting you. They're fucking everywhere.
okay, so put on a rain jacket, right? Like those big yellow rain jackets, and like masking tape the cuffs, right? So nothing gets up underneath there, and just walk out there for like maybe 5 minutes, or go to a park.
Yeah.
Or
I'll do the park.
or go sit outside on your patio or your porch, right? Just smelling that fresh air can really help clear your head.
I'm picturing dirty Skittles in the backyard with like a hazmat suit.
Literally, like I was waiting for the part where I was like, well, then I got to take it off and like, do I get hosed down before I take off the hazmat suit? Yeah, there's spiders. There's a lot of spiders. But I mean, I do notice, well, I learned this a while back to notice when I'm happy without like, watching like a comedy, right? Like something that I'm doing in my everyday life. If it makes me happy, I stop and take note of whatever it is. And I will say when I do take a little nugget to the park, we've just found like this beautiful park, and I'm like completely at ease and at peace and super happy. I see him playing. I mean, it's gorgeous weather, like, so I can see how that would be helpful during like work hours, change of scenery, get out.
The breeze, just like feeling the breeze and seeing the trees kind of sway, and
yeah.
And for me up here, we're in fall now, and the tree leaves are changing, right? So even though it's super gray and gross and rainy, crappy outside, these little bursts of color, like it just kind of makes your heart smile, right? Because like the weather may be gray and gross, but there's still color in the world.
Yeah.
So if you can focus on the color in the world, even when we're going through that shit that's going on in our head, just focusing on the colorful objects that we see in the world, like love, life, kids, family, husband, wife, all of that, girlfriend, significant other. Focus on those happy things, and it makes the shitty stuff a little less shitty.
Yeah.
You got to focus on the shit that's going on outside your head, right?
Yeah.
All right. I have a couple of fun questions. G-Rex, you're off the hook because you answered this in the last one. I think we're going to do this every episode, maybe. Okay, Adam. If you could change anything about your life, what would it be?
Hmm. I think I would change kind of the way I've approached life in the past,
Okay.
and try to approach it with more of, I guess, an open mind, because I've been very, I think we can all get very uh, focused, honed in on a certain feeling or a certain thing, and kind of like miss other things around us that are right there. So I think I would approach things a little more openly for sure.
Wow. That is deep. That I don't know what I expected you to say, but like, wow, that's yeah, I agree.
I don't know what I expected me to say that.
No, like I think there's like I have admiration for that and like I'm like, wow. Yeah, like it would change my life as well if I was to not be so scared or closed off to possibilities, you know? I
Right.
love that.
Same with me. I mean, you told me I didn't have to answer it,
Yeah,
but I have a different
go
answer
for
than
it.
what I had in the last episode. Is I would change I might have changed my career path a little bit and not gone down a technical route so much and more of like a customer servicey people-ish kind of route because I really like being around people. I'm a true extrovert. So like when COVID came around, I felt like I was in hell, right? Like I couldn't hug people, I couldn't be around people. And so it was really hard for me. But I would do something where I could be like my true self, right? Where I'm not like cornered into a certain type of job.
Yeah, do what you love.
Well, it's not too late though.
That's true.
Oh, I'm doing what I love now. So you know what?
That's
I may
awesome.
be
You would have started
60.
earlier, is what you're
I
saying.
would have started earlier. I'm
Yeah,
60 now, so now I'm really living my true life.
that's awesome. That's great.
Okay, next question. If you could go back to a younger version of yourself and give that version of yourself advice, how old were you and what would you say?
Oh man,
Sorry.
there's so many things I'd say to younger me. Uh, probably I'd say the Adam in his early to mid 20s needs to hear, stop being such a fucking asshole, dude.
Ah. Can you imagine seeing yourself, like future self, being like, stop being an asshole? Like, oh, what is going
like, whoa, no way.
Yeah.
Be all Keanu on myself. Whoa, no
Yeah.
way.
I love that.
I'd be 16 and being don't take that pill.
Oh,
Just don't do
no.
it.
Jesus.
Serious. Don't take that pill.
Oh, that's great. I love this. And then the last question I have, um, what is the biggest change you've made that's made you who you are today?
Um, I think the biggest change that I've made is I've tried to refocus my energy and my time on things, on people that really matter to me,
Mm,
and not so much worried about people who don't matter and things that are less relevant, and just, focus where the love is.
yeah, I
I
love that.
love that. I love that. For me, putting up that drama box. If it smells like drama, it doesn't get to come into the box anymore. I said so after my breakdown, I set up some serious boundaries. You know, being a true empath, you know, I would take on everybody else's issues. Now I don't do that anymore. If it smells like drama, it don't come into the box anymore because I'm taking care of me. I am number one.
That's a superpower.
That is.
You've got a drama shield.
I got the drama shield. Like I
Yeah.
just wrap that shit around me. I'm like, it smells like drama. It doesn't get to come in today.
It's a good
That's awesome.
good superpower.
What about you?
My superpower? Or
No,
my
you're
answers to these questions?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. You
shit.
ask them, you need to answer them.
Would I change anything? I probably am going to steal your answer. I think if I could change the way I had approached life, I would. You know, like explore, try new things, like don't be afraid to fail at everything. Because I feel like that fear stopped me from other opportunities, you know? What would I tell a younger version of myself, dude? I would probably go back to little dirty Skittles at age 4.
Whoa.
Yeah, because the only reason I know it would be age 4 is there's this family video that fucking haunts me to this day. And I was 4 years old in it, and I would probably tell myself then and there that you're stronger than what you think. Leave it there.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
And then the biggest thing the biggest change that I've implemented that has drastically improved my life is therapy, for sure. If I could go back and do it all over again, as fucked up as I was when I started to where I am today, I would, because it was so rewarding.
Very cool.
Yeah. Those are my answers.
Those are good answers.
Thank you so much, Adam, for sharing your story and your life. And man, I'm going to go find your graphic novel because now I want to read it.
Yeah, where can our listeners find you?
So I do have a website, adammatthewsmith.com. And the book is there. It's being sold on Amazon, but it's called Shadows. It's a very generic title. And I'm Adam Matthew Smith. Those are all very generic names. So you really have to type them all in together in order to find it. You type any one of those words and you will not find me ever. But yeah.
I love that.
Oh, Adam.
I love that.
My next book's going to have a much more intriguing title, I think. Thank you all so much for having me. I appreciate it. And keep it up with the podcast. It's awesome. Very cool.
Thank you very much. It's okay to be not okay. Just make sure you're talking to someone.